Rina was 19 years old and lived in a small town near the forest. She didn't like noise or crowds. She loved being alone. One night, her parents went to a wedding in another city and left her alone at home. Rina was happy. She had the whole house to herself. Around 11:30 p.m., she got a strange phone call. The number was hidden. At first, she thought it was a prank. She answered and said, "Hello," but there was only breathing on the other side. Heavy, slow, not normal. She hung up and laughed nervously. Maybe it was a wrong number, but 5 minutes later, the phone rang again. Same number, same breathing. This time, she got angry. "Stop calling me," she shouted and hung up again. She looked out of her bedroom window. The street was empty. No people, no cars, just a cold wind blowing. Her heart started to beat a little faster. She told herself she was just imagining things. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't a call. It was a message from a number with no name. The message said, "Why did you hang up? I can see you." Rina dropped the phone. Her hands were shaking. She quickly closed the window curtains and locked her bedroom door. Her room felt colder now, like someone had opened a door to the outside. She called her parents, but the signal was weak. The call didn't connect. She felt alone. Very alone. Then came another message. "Don't look behind you." Her blood turned to ice. She didn't want to look, but her eyes slowly moved toward the mirror in front of her bed. There was no one in the room, but in the mirror, something moved. Rina stared at the mirror. Her reflection was normal, but only for a second. Then, something passed behind her in the reflection. It was fast, black, shadow-like. But when she turned around, the room was empty. Her breathing became fast. Her chest felt tight. She whispered, "Who's there?" But no one answered. The silence in the room was louder than any scream. She picked up her phone again. Another message had arrived. "You looked. I told you not to." Rina backed away from the mirror. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a soft thud. She didn't pick it up. She couldn't. Suddenly the lights began to flicker, on, office, and then total darkness. The power went out. She was standing in complete blackness, surrounded by silence, except for the ticking of the old clock in the hall. She lit her phone's flashlight and opened the door to her room. The hallway was cold and dark. Shadows seemed to move on their own. Every step she took, the wooden floor made a soft creak like it was whispering to her. Rina whispered, "This is not real. This is a dream." But deep inside she knew it was not a dream. It was real, and it was getting worse. As she walked slowly down the hall, her phone buzzed again. This time, the message said, "I'm inside the house." Her heart dropped. She turned around and ran back to her room, but the door slammed shut in front of her, as if someone had pushed it. She screamed and ran downstairs instead. But the living room wasn't the same anymore. The paintings on the wall were upside down. The clock was spinning backward. The TV turned on by itself and showed only static with a loud hissing sound. And then she saw it on the TV screen, a blurry figure, standing, staring, inside the same room she was in. But when she looked around, no one was there, until she heard the whisper right next to her ear, "Don't turn around." Rina froze. The whisper felt real, warm breath on her skin, but no one was visible. She stood still, too scared to turn her head. Her phone's flashlight flickered and then went out. She was trapped in the dark. Again. She whispered, "Please, stop." But the house was silent, silent like a grave. Suddenly the front door began to shake violently, bang, 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 like someone or something was trying to break in. Rina ran to the door, grabbed the handle, and tried to open it. It didn't move. It was locked, but not by her. Her phone lit up again. Another message. "You can't leave, not until you see me." Tears filled her eyes. She didn't know what this thing wanted. She didn't know why it had chosen her. Her hands trembled as she typed, "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "You know me. You forgot, but I remember you." Rina stared at the message, confused. Was this someone from her past? Someone she hurt? A ghost? The room suddenly turned ice cold. Her breath came out in white puffs. The curtains floated in the air like something invisible had passed through them. She turned to run to the kitchen, but there, on the wall, was something new. Written in red, dripping letters, "I'm behind you." Rina screamed and collapsed to the floor. She didn't want to turn around. She couldn't. Then she heard footsteps, slow, heavy, coming closer. Step, step, step. The floor under her hands felt sticky. She looked down. Her hands were in something dark. Blood. It was spreading from the walls, the floor, everywhere. But no wounds were on her. It wasn't her blood. Her mind raced. "I have to get out. I have to break a window." She got up, ran to the window, grabbed a vase, and smashed the glass. But outside was no longer her street. It was all wrong. The trees were dead. The sky was red. Her neighbors' houses were gone. And in the distance, something was crawling toward her, fast, on all fours, pale and headless. She turned away and whispered, "This isn't real. It's not real." But the mirror in the hallway said otherwise. Her reflection was gone. Rina stared into the empty mirror. Her reflection was missing, but something else was there. A faint image of a girl in the mirror. Long black hair, pale skin, no eyes. Just dark, hollow sockets. The girl in the mirror raised her hand and pointed directly at Rina. Rina fell backward in shock, hitting the wall. Her body trembled. "Who are you?" she cried, but her voice was weak, broken. The mirror cracked slowly, one line at a time, like a spider web spreading across the glass. And from those cracks, a whisper escaped. "You left me. You let me die." Rina's memory started flashing fast and chaotic. A forest, a little girl, screaming, running, blood, a fall, silence. Then, Rina walking away, never looking back. She began to cry. She didn't want to remember. She had buried that memory years ago. The phone buzzed again. One final message appeared. "Now you remember. Now I can come." All the doors in the house flung open at once. Bang! Every cupboard, every drawer, every door. The wind howled inside like a scream from another world. She turned to run, but her feet wouldn't move. They were stuck to the floor, as if invisible hands were holding her ankles. She screamed and struggled, but the air around her turned heavy like thick smoke. Then, silence. Everything stopped. Time felt frozen. A girl walked down the stairs. Not a ghost, not a shadow. A real girl, but she looked just like the one in Rina's flashback. Younger, maybe 10 years old, same long black hair, same pale skin, but her eyes were gone. She walked slowly toward Rina. Her voice echoed, even though her mouth didn't move. "You were supposed to save me." Rina fell to her knees. "I didn't mean to leave you. I was scared. I was just a child." Her voice cracked, raw with guilt, but the girl didn't stop. She came closer. "I waited, alone, cold, dying. You ran." Suddenly the lights turned red. Every surface of the room dripped blood. The house was alive now, and it wanted justice. The girl reached out her hand. "Come with me. Feel what I felt." Rina screamed and tried to crawl away, but the floor turned to water, black, sticky water. She sank into it as if the house itself was pulling her down. The last thing she saw before her head went under was her own reflection in the mirror again. This time, smiling. Rina was drowning in darkness. There was no water, no floor, no house, just cold emptiness swallowing her whole. She screamed, but no sound came out. Around her, voices whispered, 100 voices crying, blaming. She ran. She left us. She forgot. Suddenly her eyes opened. She was in her bedroom again. Bright daylight poured through the window. Birds chirped outside. Everything looked normal. She sat up. The blood was gone. The mirrors were whole. No messages. No girl. Just peace. Rina blinked. Was it all a dream? She looked at her phone. No messages. No missed calls. Nothing. She got up, walked to the mirror, and this time her reflection was there. She gave a nervous smile to herself, trying to calm down. "It's over," she whispered. "I'm safe." But then her reflection didn't move. Rina turned her head slowly, but her reflection kept looking forward, eyes fixed, unblinking. Then her reflection smiled wider, wider than a human could, and whispered from inside the mirror, "You're not Rina anymore." Her body froze. Her lips wouldn't move. She was trapped behind the glass. And from the other side of the mirror, the thing pretending to be her walked away, living her life, wearing her face. No one would ever know. Weeks passed. Rina's parents returned. They didn't notice the change. Why would they? The girl in their home looked like Rina, sounded like Rina, but late at night, when the real Rina screamed from inside the mirror, no one could hear her. And in the forest, near a forgotten grave, a name was written on a stone covered in moss. Amina, age 10 gone, but not forgotten. Except she was forgotten. Until now.